Thank you for that kind introduction. I wish I kind of could have had a different introduction, but it is what it is, and here we are. But I'd first like to start by thanking Kay and KACL for inviting me to speak in front of you today, and also to the Korean Consulate and Consul General Ohm for sponsoring this event. It's truly an honor to be up here as a young Korean American. It's kind of something that I've always really thought I would do, and it's truly an honor and blessing to be up here in front of my mom, who's come here, and as well as my sister. So just wanted to point that out. My story is pretty much the same as most Korean Americans who've lived here or come here, and many other immigrants' stories. My parents both immigrated here 27 years ago, and the same struggles of going through the cultural barrier, understanding the differences and trying to figure out how to find their niche, find their lane, try to project their voice, try to assimilate has all been difficult, and it's something that as her son I've definitely noticed and definitely watched and definitely learned from over the past 25 years. The cultural barriers that Asian Americans face when they first come here are widespread, whether it's language, whether it's trying to figure out who to talk to, whether it's trying to find friends, or just a basic community to fit into and to understand and to feel as though you've created your own home in this country is actually really difficult, and it's really a topic that's really not talked about. You go to the churches or you go to community meetings, you go to certain you meet maybe that one Korean family at the school PTA meeting, and you instantly connect because you know what, I speak that language, you know where I'm coming from, we share the same pains and struggles. Yet it's only that one or two, and maybe that one church or maybe that one community. It's not a widespread. You can't walk down the street to any person and say, how do I sign my son for Little League? How do I, what does my kid need to do in order to get to the best colleges and universities? So not only did our parents and the immigrants who come here kind of pave the way for us to really strive and really to grow and really to become a part of America, the struggles that first generation, second generation face are completely different, yet just as important. Growing up, we didn't have much. My mom worked 3 jobs. My dad left when I was 14. And my younger sister and I really didn't know what to do. And it's not that my mom didn't work hard. My mom worked so hard. My mom would not only go to work 3 separate jobs, she had to try to learn a language that she didn't know. She had to try to make friends that she didn't have. She had to figure out the school system. She had to figure out where to sign you up for Little League. Because I remember one day I screamed and cried because all my friends were playing baseball, which I really wanted to play, and I didn't know how to sign up. And my mom, I thought at the time, signed me up for the wrong Little League. I'm like, you signed me up for Newton South Little League, Mom. Who does that? Like, I can't play high school, and I thought because Newton South was a high school. And it turns out that she actually signed me up for the right Little League. And my mom, despite not knowing where to go, always found a way. And that is an immigrant story that everybody in this room can feel and understand. And so I just want to give congratulations to my mother. And like the honorable judge was talking about his mother, from a very young age, my mom always instilled within me that we were really fortunate. That while we may not be rich in the amount of dollars that we have, that we were rich in life. We were rich in the fact that we were able to be in this country and to know that we were loved and had family, and that to always give back and have that sense of giving back and paying it forward. And so for the past 10 years, actually, my mom, despite the fact that there were times when we weren't sure if we could pay rent the next month, there were times when we weren't sure how we were going to, put food on the table. Well, not me, my mom. She still went to the soup kitchen once a month for 10 years straight, sometimes paying out of her own pocket in order to feed 200 people. And those are the same people that I still see right in front of the steakhouse today, which is where I work. But like I kind of highlighted earlier, that there are also struggles for first generation and second generation Asian Americans. When I went to school, Despite the fact that I played baseball and I did everything I could to assimilate, I spoke perfect English, I rejected my heritage, all my friends were white, I played sports, but I was still different. No matter what I did, no matter what I said, no matter how I sounded, I was still the Asian kid. I wasn't Korean, I was the Asian kid, I was a yellow kid. And I'll never forget was when my freshman year of high school, I tried out for the varsity baseball team. I was the last kid to make that team as a freshman. And one of the seniors said to me, "Why do you play this sport?" And I looked at him quizzically. I said, "What do you mean? I've been playing since I was 12. It's the game I love. I dedicate my life to this game." "What do you mean?" He goes, "It's a white man's sport." So I looked at him and I said, "I respect your opinion. I disagree." And instead of getting angry, what I'd say was I used that to motivate myself. I said, "You know what? I'm going to be that Asian face that's on the mound. I'm going to keep pursuing my dream of playing baseball, and I'm going to play in college. And it doesn't matter what the naysayers say." I knew that at that time, I may have just been one kid, one 14-year-old kid. But I knew that maybe one day that if I kept pursuing my dreams and if I kind of broke out of the model minority myth, that maybe one day another kid would feel empowered to do the same. I ended up taking that kid's spot. And it's not to kind of juice myself up here, but really just to highlight that with determination and not allowing people to bring you down in negative ways, as long as you look at yourself and you are confident who you are, that you can really achieve whatever you're setting yourself out to. So that really pretty much shaped the way that I thought. The way that my mom raised me, the way that my experience of facing racism, oppression, being an invisible voice, led me to want to be a voice for the voiceless. And which is kind of when I was starting to think, I was like, you know what? How can I give back? How can I change the lives of other people? I talk a lot. I know I'm not the smartest kid in the room. I know I'm not the most talented person in the room, but I know I can talk, and I know I'm not afraid to go up in front of other people and speak. So you know what? I need to find a way to do that, and what hit me was politics. Because I noticed that was another region where you didn't see any Asian faces. And right now, if you look at the House of Representatives, there are 160 House members. There are exactly 5 in the Asian American caucus. Not a single one of them is Korean. And there's only one Asian American senator in the Senate, and her name is Sonny Cheng Diaz. I recently had the opportunity during NCSL to meet legislators and staff members from all across the country. And it was during that time, actually, that I got to meet other Korean Americans who were in politics, such as Mark King, who's an assemblyman down in Virginia. And there's plenty of others across the country, but I realized that when we all met together, all the legislators, I was the only staffer at Noraebang. We were literally fit in one karaoke room. Think about that. There are hundreds of millions of people in this country. There are 51 states, yet we have all the Asian, Korean American legislators stuck in one room in Chinatown in a karaoke bar. If that doesn't kind of illustrate to you the situation that we're in, that we have not grown that much from the days of the Chinese Inclusion Act, to the days of the Japanese internment camps, to the days of the Civil Rights era where Black people, the African American community was out there on the streets trying to pave the way for other Asian Americans and people of color. And mind you, there are also Asians side by side with those civil rights activists. We need to not only take charge of our own lives, but we also need to pave the path, continue to pave the path for those in front of us. So my experience from facing racism to understanding that there were not many Asian Americans who were within government led me to want to pursue a career in politics. And my experience in politics is similar, actually, to Leverett. It hasn't really changed all that much since he left. I'm still the only Asian American who is a staffer that is in leadership at the State House. My boss, actually during Korea Day, said that much of the knowledge of Asians that he has came from me. And I can tell you that there are far more people who are far more knowledgeable, far more well-versed in Asian history than I am, but that kind of goes to illustrate to you the situation that we're in. Not only do we need to have people go into government, be more civically engaged, to be more aware and active, we need to prop up others. We can't just prop up our own people who look like us, who sound like us, who speak the same language, but we also have to prop up those who are struggling, who share the same struggles that we do, which include Chinese people, Japanese people, Southeast Asians, Black people, Latinos, and other white people too. It's us across the board that we're all, at the end of the day, we're human beings. That not change because you look different, have a different language that you speak, but we all bleed the same, we all eat the same, we all end up dying. And we all live for the same purpose, which is to better our own lives, but also to better the lives of those around us and those we care about. And to leave a legacy for those so that when the next generation comes forward, that they will be able to live a long and fruitful life and not face the same problems that we face today. So, what can you do? I think it's really easy for a lot of us to come up here, and it's important to tell our stories, to illustrate what it was like for us as we were trying to navigate our way through our careers. But it's also important for us to tell you what you can do. One of the very few basic things you can do is understand the basic functions of government. How does it work? How do you vote? How do you register to vote? Who are your local electeds? Because at the end of the day, while President Trump's policies and actions are definitely having a profound effect on not only the people in America, but people across the world, it is actually your local electeds, such as the mayor, your city councilman, your town manager, your house rep, your state senator, your school committee members, that actually have the most profound impact on your individual day-to-day life. So if you don't know who your mayor is, you can go look it up. If you don't know who your state rep is, go look it up. If you don't know who your state actual U.S. senator is, go look it up. The internet is a wonderful thing. Why is that important though? If you don't know who is creating the change and creating the laws for you, if you're not talking to them, if you don't have a relationship with them, if your voice is not heard, how can you expect them to advocate for your needs and your wants? 1 out of 10 Asian Americans in this country are undocumented. The rest of the 9 might as well be undocumented because we're too afraid to step up and poke our heads up and say, my voice needs to be heard too. My needs are important too. My grandmother who doesn't speak a lick of English, she has rights too. It's really important that we step up and we take charge of ourselves and make our voices heard instead of being invited into the room to sit at the table and to be able to say this is what I believe in, this is what I want, and this is what my people need, and be taken seriously. If we're not actually out there ourselves, if we're not actually advocating for ourselves, if we're not actually pushing forward our agenda, just like Kay is doing, what KACL, what Michael is doing, what they're doing is the first step. They need more support. While in my capacity, I can't personally endorse anyone. There are other people who need your help. The judge needs your help. He needs your support. Leverett needs your support. Consul General Ohm needs your help and he needs your support. But there are also students who are sitting here today, right in front of me, who are going to need your help. The parents who have paved the way need your help. There's not a single person in this world who can stand up and achieve what they want to achieve and set out forth their goals and to make others' lives better and to make their own lives better if they weren't receiving help. So we need to get more Korean people involved in politics. But it's not just being involved in politics from the inside, but also on the outside. To go to your town hall meetings, to make your voices heard. If there's a bill that directly affects you or hurts the people that you, or may affect the people that you love, then you go to your state representative, you go to your U.S. congressman, and you bang on their door until they open that door and they hear your voice. If there's an issue that that you feel as though is important. Do not be afraid that you will be drowned out, but instead gather more voices and say, you know, we need to come together, we need to unite, and we need to step forward, and we need to really take charge of our lives, and really, really need to be the change that we want to see. And until we do that, then Koreans will always remain in the background. In my capacity at work, I'm very fortunate. My boss is a wonderful man who gave a 22-year-old kid an opportunity of a lifetime. I didn't go to Harvard, I didn't go to Yale, I didn't graduate magna cum laude, I didn't have a 4.0 GPA in high school or in college, although I will say that every report card I got from my teachers was, Sam has so much potential if only he cared. And my mom, despite all the hard work, you know, for me, I was a knucklehead. But fortunately, I was persistent. Just like Dan said, I was persistent. I got an internship at my mom's advice at the State House. On my second day of my internship, my boss had a meeting with the Speaker of the House, and she called down and said, Sam, you need to get your butt up here. The Speaker has invited you into this meeting. So I'm nervous, I'm sweating, I put my tie on, I fixed my jacket, I ran up there and I'm panting, and I sit down and the chair's really deep, so I sink into it. And he looks at me and he goes, what do you do? And I looked at his desk and I saw that there was a baseball there, and I said, I'm actually a baseball player. That kid who was told that baseball is a white man's sport when he was 14 actually played college baseball, or baseball in college. And because of that, the speakers and I had a 45-minute conversation that actually extended past the lot of time that they had given to the Chairwoman Khan. And after that, I kept running into him and running into him and running into him. Every time I introduced myself and every time I made sure that he remembered who I was. I recognized it as one of the few Asian Americans that are in that building that I was recognizable despite being only an intern. I was a nobody, but I knew that I could make myself recognizable. So after my internship ended, he told me to continue to contact him, and I did. Every break I had during college, I emailed him and I came in, I had a meeting with him, we caught up just like we were best friends. And at the end of my internship, I said to the speaker, I would love to work for you. And he said, when you graduate, you let me know, you call me, and we'll figure out something and see what we can do. I graduated college, I told everybody in the world that I was going to work for the speaker, and due to unforeseen circumstances, he couldn't offer me the job. I ended up working at a restaurant for my friend. And during that time, it was actually in Newton, so I was actually serving chicken for 6 months to people that I knew growing up, who I told I was going to work for the Speaker of the House. That was the most humbling and most important time of my life. I realized at that time that I am no better than these undocumented Latino immigrants who were working with me in the back. I got to work on my Spanish. I got to understand how hard it was to earn $1. That my mom had worked all her life working 3 jobs, put herself through college, and I finally understood what it meant to earn $1. I finally understood what it was for the vast majority of human beings. I understood that even though we had nothing, that my mom allowed me to have a privileged life. I understood that no matter how hard things get, that you can always find happiness as long as you decide that you're going to be happy and you're going to be appreciative of all the little things in your life. At that time, I was a 22-year-old immature kid, and I was angry. And I wasn't able to see the big picture. I ended up working another job at a tech startup for 6 months, and then the speaker called me and said, Sam, I'd like for you to work for me. So it was because I was so persistent, it was because that my mom never lost faith in me. She always said, keep doing things the right way, and eventually things will work out. And I'm not trying to sit up here and say that I'm someone who's important, because I'm not. I'm just another person, in the room. But I also understand that I have the unique privilege of working for a man who can create a lot of change, and I also understand that I also represent Asian Americans and Korean Americans in particular, whether I like it or not. I understand that every time I walk into a room, whether I'm the only Asian American in there or not, that I carry the responsibility of Asian Americans all across. And that is why I want to continue to work in politics. That's why I implore that everyone else in this room continue to not only be engaged, but be active. Not only be active, but care and get others around you to care. And because if we don't carry the water for other people as well, then how can you expect other people to help you? So I want to just conclude with the fact that we have a bright future.